Good evening. Good evening. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the opening session of the 5th Annual Global Colloquium of University Presidents. It's also my very special pleasure to welcome university presidents and faculty experts from 24 universities representing 18 countries in Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Europe, Australia, South America, and North America. Our special guests include United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and United States Undersecretary General, the former President of Chile, Michelle Bachelet. As we gather, I must say we're all deeply saddened by the deaths of UN workers in Afghanistan last week and in the Congo today. Their lives were working for peace and prosperity for the global community, and the world is better for the contributions they made for us. And we all really, all the more appreciate what the United Nations stands for in these times. The Global Colloquium was initiated by 5 university presidents in response to the Secretary General's request for greater involvement of the global academic community in exploring international public policy. The 5 sponsoring universities are Columbia, NYU, Penn, Princeton, and Yale. We annually convene the Global Colloquium on behalf of the Secretary General. 20 to 25 university presidents from around the world join each colloquium to exchange ideas on an important and timely topic. Each president is accompanied by a faculty expert. Our topics have ranged from academic freedom to the social benefits of the research university, to sustainability and global climate change, to the role of science in meeting global challenges. The focus of this, our 5th Global Colloquium, is empowering women to change the world. Empowering women was the goal of the great American suffragist Susan B. Anthony. 235 years ago, just blocks from here, Susan B. Anthony stood in front of Independence Hall, the birthplace of American democracy, and read her now famous Declaration of Rights for Women. Anthony asked for no special favors, no special privileges, no special legislation. We ask justice. We ask equality. We ask that all the civil and political rights that belong to male citizens be guaranteed to us and our daughters forever. The quest for equal rights for women and girls has echoed throughout history. We hear it as early as the 1st century of the Common Era, when Ban Zhao, the first female Chinese historian, wrote her admonitions for women. In it, she states, in the Book of Rights, an anthology of articles by Confucius scholars, it is said boys are taught to read, and at 15 they are sent to school. Girls should be taught in accordance with this model as well. That was the 1st century. We hear it when feminist Simone de Beauvoir writes that society being codified by man decrees that woman is inferior. And we hear it in the words of Wangari Maathai, the first African woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize, when she writes that African women in general need to know that it's okay for them to be the way they are, to be liberated from fear and from silence. Today, this quest resonates in every corner of our global community. It resonates when we learn that 6 out of 10 of the world's poorest people are women and girls. It resonates when we recognize that 2/3 of the world's adult illiterates are women. It resonates when the WHO tells us that 30 to 60% of women in most countries have experienced violence at the hands of a husband or boyfriend. And as Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Woodun write in Half the Sky, it resonates when more girls have been killed in the last 50 years simply because they are girls than men killed in all the battles of the 20th century. Today, we gather not simply to listen to these facts, but to respond. It is fitting that we do this here in Philadelphia, which was a center of the early women's rights movement in the United States. And it's fitting that we do this here at Penn. Penn has been, for a long time, the home of empowered women. From the Penn alumna and suffragette Alice Paul, who founded the National Women's Party, to alumna Sadie Tanner Moselle Alexander, the first African-American woman in this country to earn a PhD, to the present. But our goal is still an aspiration, and our work is far from complete. All of us assembled here, women and men alike, share a fundamental conviction that the world will only realize its full potential, and not just economically, when women are empowered, when women can fulfill their promise, when women can manage their lives, and when women have a voice in the decisions that shape their destiny. As Burmese freedom fighter and Nobel Peace Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi noted, "The education and empowerment of women throughout the world cannot fail to result in a more caring, tolerant, just, and peaceful life for all, for men and women, girls and boys alike." The empowerment and true equality of women remains a worthy and urgent goal for all societies, and not just for those in the developing or developed world. It's a goal, as Susan B. Anthony recognized, that asks for no special favors, no special privileges. It's a goal to be reached if we don't want to squander the potential of half the global community. And it's a goal that all of us can do our part to achieve. How we do our part is what we're here to discuss. And we couldn't have a greater champion in this effort than our preeminent guest, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon. The Secretary General has made gender equality central to all of his work at the United Nations. He has established a new UN agency headed by Michelle Bachelet to deal with all gender issues. The Secretary General has focused the world's attention on the global epidemic of violence against women in the home, in the workplace, and in civil society. Speaking on the occasion of International Women's Day 2010, the Secretary General eloquently noted, and I quote, "Gender equality and women's empowerment are fundamental to the global mission of the UN to achieve equal rights and dignity for all. But equality for women and girls is also an economic and social imperative. Until women and girls are liberated from poverty and injustice, all our goals, peace, security, sustainable development, stand in jeopardy." The Secretary General's entire career has been devoted to peace, security, sustainable development, and equal rights for all. Before his tenure as Secretary General in 2007, Ban Ki-moon served as Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade for the Republic of Korea. His tenure with the ministry included postings in New Delhi, Washington, D.C., and Vienna. He also served as Foreign Policy Advisor and Chief National Security Advisor to the President. Throughout his service, Ban Ki-moon's guiding vision was to ensure a peaceful and prosperous Korean peninsula. As part of his efforts in September 2005, he played a leading role in bringing about the joint statement on resolving the North Korean nuclear issue, a landmark agreement at the six-party talks. The Secretary General's ties with the United Nations date back over 3 decades. They date back to 1975 when he worked for the Foreign Ministry's UN division. Later positions included chef de cabinet to the President of the General Assembly. And after the tragedy of 9/11, he is widely credited for the General Assembly's speedy response in condemning the actions of the terrorists. Above all, Ban Ki-moon is a most ardent and admirable advocate for global peace and cooperation, and for human rights, and of course, for women's rights. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our great privilege to welcome to Penn and to welcome to the 5th Annual Global Colloquium of University Presidents, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon.